Hello, wonderful people. This is Stephanie Nadolny for Wonderbot Animals, and here is... A mom hears crying from the walls, so she makes a hole and then jumps back. Before we begin, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification button for more amazing videos. She listened carefully, and that's when she realized where the cries were coming from. Not knowing what to do next, she positioned herself in front of her living room wall and got a hammer. She hammered a hole in the wall, and when she went elbow deep to find out what it was, she couldn't believe her eyes. A mom came home one day after a long day to hear distinct faint cries. Baffled, she started searching her home, but she couldn't seem to locate where the sounds were coming from. She thought it might just be her mind playing tricks on her, as she had had a busy day. Subsequently, she went into the kitchen to prepare dinner, but then she heard the noise again. This time, she knew the noise had to be some type of cry. Being a mom herself, she already knew what the sound of a cry sounded like. But these were no ordinary cries. Their pitch was higher, and the noise didn't last long. She began exploring her home to see if she could pinpoint where the particular noise was coming from. She had no idea that it was right in front of her. The cries became louder, and this prompted a frantic search. Mom knew whatever was crying must be hurt or in some kind of danger. She went to the adjacent rooms from the kitchen to see if she could source out where the cries were coming from. She couldn't hear anything. The calls had become mute. But then, as still as she could be, one little cry let her know exactly where it was coming from. Mom was right in front of her living room wall. The TV was hanging on the left of where she heard the cries. I need to do something, she thought. But still, she had to make sure that the cries were coming from there. If not, she would have made a colossal mistake. She called to her children and asked them if they too could hear something behind the wall. Little did they know, this was the start of a new adventure. Her children gathered with her and tried to listen for the cries, but an ominous quietness made the air stale. Her children looked at her as if she was crazy. They couldn't hear anything, needless to say, any type of cry. Mom widened her eyes. Sparks flew through her brain, desperately trying to connect the dots. But still, utter silence. Was this all just a figment of her imagination? The children started retreating to their rooms when a faint cry came from behind the wall. There! Did you hear it? Mom said, astonished. Her children looked at each other and nodded their heads and rushed back to where they had been waiting for the noise to appear. Something was there. Trapped. They could hear it too. But what was it? Mom instructed someone to get a hammer. She was going to help whatever was stuck in there get free. Knocking the lighter parts with her knuckles, then the darker regions, she finally knew where the weakest point in her wall was to strike. But little did she know, the weakest part of her wall was precisely where the cries were coming from. Mom asked everyone to stand back. She started hammering through her drywall and made a gaping hole, just the right size for her arm to fit through it. As she set the hammer down, the cries became louder and louder. Mom plunged her hand in, elbow deep inside the hole in her wall. Clumps and clumps of drywall poured everywhere, but then she thought she had felt something different. She grabbed a hold of it carefully and pulled it out, but it was just a handful of insulation, dirt, and drywall. The cries became more distinct, and she knew she was close. She dug through the dirt, clearing a way for her hand to travel to the cries. She was unaware that she was about to strike gold. Carefully, Mom felt around inside the hole and touched something small and fuzzy. She thought it might just be insulation from the wall like before, but then she pulled her hand out while cradling it. Bewildered, she had pulled a little white kitten out of the hole. In that exact moment, she knew that there was more than one, and she had to get them all. Mom put the first white kitten down on the floor and immediately dove back in for more. She still had to clear the way for the little ones, piling more and more dirt on her living room floor. Then, she finally latched onto something roaming inside the wall. "Here comes another one," she said, while pulling a gray kitten from the hole. As she bent down to put the second kitten on the floor, she immediately shouted out, "Bub, I need that basket." Then she shouted, "Aunt Dottie, come help me." Mom dived back into the hole and continued to rip drywall onto her floor. She was determined to find all the kittens. But how many were in there? After a few minutes of her searching in the hole and cradling more and more dirt and drywall, she gets a hold of a third kitten. A black and white little kitty came tumbling out of the hole. She couldn't believe these babies were living inside her wall. And more so, she didn't know if there were more. As she settled the third baby on the floor, she dove back in, searching for more. "Oh, you're scrawny," says Aunt Dottie in the background. "Oh, so lightweight," she adds. While Mom searches inside the hole for another little one, she calls out, "Here, come here. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty." But then the cameraman who was filming the whole process helps Mom, and the video gets cut off. We know all the kitties are in good hands. It's not uncommon for mother cats who are expecting kittens to find a safe, dry place for their young. And this little family couldn't have chosen a better wall.